Good evening and welcome back to Sports Talk ATL. I am Chase Earl, joined by Alex Lord. Yesterday, the long-awaited return of Bryce Elder, so to speak. We kind of expected him to get one of these early starts, but because of the way rest worked out, they gave Winans a shot. Vines looked really good. They gave him another start. They pushed guys back. They made room for Elder. He goes out there. He just does. I would say this is the prototypical Bryce Elder start, like nothing overwhelming. They had runners on the base paths all night. We get a lucky break there in the first inning where the Marlins should have scored, maybe should have scored multiple runs, but somehow he just comes out unscathed. Now, there is a little bit of luck involved and maybe some really bad play from the Marlins, but at the end of the day, he settles in, goes 6.2 scoreless innings against a bad offense. You have to take that into account, but 6.2 scoreless innings, I don't care if you're playing in Double-A, is impressive. And obviously, he's going to get another start, and this could be the beginning of finding that fifth guy that's going to be here all season, which we all kind of expected was going to be Bryce Elder if someone got injured.
Yeah, the quintessential Pookie Bryce Elder start. And I do think the scoreless outing is a bit misleading. You know, if you watch the game, pretty much any other team other than the Fish probably gets a couple across the plate there. But that still was good enough for this Braves offense to have a chance to go out there and win the game. And when you're talking about the fifth starter in a rotation, that's more than enough. That's way more than enough. And I do think that he's going to pretty much solidify his place in the rotation. I don't see them jerking him back down to Gwinnett. Now, that's not to say that Darius Vines or even Alan Winans or further down the road with AJ Smith-Shawver, Ian Anderson, and the rest of the gang isn't going to get chances because, like we said, they're incentivized to kind of turn this into a six-man rotation with some of the arms we have and concerns about limiting innings. So though I think Bryce Elder is not going to go back down to Gwinnett, I do think that it'll turn into almost a six-man rotation.
Yeah, I know the Braves don't like the six-man rotation, and I think there's a lot of reasons for that, and most of it's because these pitchers have been almost ingrained. Like, it's a very, very surgical operations where I do this every day, and then I pitch the fifth. You're like warming up to that fifth start. I know we all make jokes that pitchers just play golf, starting pitchers play golf when they're not playing. But there is, okay, I'm going to throw a bullpen this day. This is my day off. And on the fifth day, some of these guys, particularly when you're looking at like Max Fried and Charlie Morton, veterans that haven't been dealing with really significant injuries, they might want to pitch every fifth day. But there is going to be some kind of like maneuvering like we've seen early on with Ronaldo Lopez. Right now, he's pitching once every week instead of once every 5 days. And I think that's fine. You got to limit some of his innings. He hasn't pitched more than 66 since 2019. And I brought that up a lot, and I'm going to be saying it all season because it's a big deal.
The biggest talking point of Ronaldo Lopez is 2024 campaign.
Chris Sale hasn't had a healthy year in 5 years. They're not like he has pitched when he was healthy, he was a 200 inning guy every time. They're not going to try to make him pitch 200 innings. Could he do it if he stays healthy? Absolutely. I mean, you see him, he's going 7 innings. Even when he gives up run, he goes 7 innings because he's got that. Yeah. He attacks the strike zone. He throws 70% strikes. And that's the kind of guy that you're going to get, but you're going to want to keep him healthy, especially now that you got the whole Spencer Strider thing and him being out for the entire season. So I don't think it's going to be a straight up six-man rotation, probably at any point, maybe briefly, but it's going to be a lot of, okay, we're going to give Ronaldo Lopez an extra day of rest. We're going to give everyone an extra day of rest, whatever it is. And they're going to give these guys that they think deserve, Darius Vines being one, Bryce Elder being one, AJ Smith-Shawver down the road, some opportunities to prove themselves because you never know when you're going to need any of them at some point this season.
Yeah, but back to Elder, I mean, he did what he was supposed to do. The 8 hits was concerning, but again, I think, he's never going to be a guy that goes out there and completely shuts down a lineup. That's just not who he is as a pitcher. But what he is as a pitcher is he doesn't blink in the face of adversity, a la guys on base, and he knows how to get guys out. And I think, again, going back to the, well, Bryce Elder isn't good enough for the postseason. Well, I think he is good enough because it feels like you know what to expect with Bryce Elder. Don't give him that long of a leash. Don't expect him to go down and shut down some of these Phillies, all these playoff caliber lineups. I mean, he is what he is. And I think consistency is maybe better in the playoff. Even if it's not, the ceiling isn't high, you know what you're getting. And I still go back to the outing against the Phillies last postseason, where like that outing was perfectly fine had Brian Snitker pulled him earlier. Like for a fifth, he's the fifth guy in the rotation. He's not the first guy up, so he's perfectly fine. I think this outing was a little bit of a fugazi because the scoreless outing probably isn't going to happen if you give up 8 hits like that. But again, steady Eddie, he is what he is, and it's what the best fifth starter in the league, maybe arguably.
A guy that here's the thing, man. Bryce Elder, the first half of last year was that you saw the ceiling. So I know we're saying that there's no ceiling. Well, we did see the ceiling for a whole first half of last year, and that ceiling was like pitching just as good as any pitcher in baseball, not just any fifth pitcher. I mean, it was a 2 ERA for most of the first half. You saw him kind of get drained there. He lost a little bit of his control. And that's really the biggest thing with Elder. Like, he's a guy that doesn't walk a lot of batters. Yes, he's going to give up a lot of hits. Yes, he's going to get out of jams because he knows how to pitch. But if he starts giving up the hits and the walks, that's when you really start having an issue. And that's what we saw at the end of last year, whether that's, something we're going to continue to see as his career moves forward or something he can kind of break out of because he hasn't pitched 160 innings. Last year was the most he's pitched by far. So it's a learning experience. And he talked about that at the beginning of the season. So I'm not going to I don't think what Bryce Elder has done should be written as stone. People want to say, oh, he's a good fifth starter. Oh, he doesn't have the potential to be a frontline guy. Oh, maybe he's a career minor leaguer. I don't think any of that stuff is true. I've seen him pitch at his best and be a guy that could be a top 3 in your rotation. Do I expect that to happen? I don't know, but I have seen it. I did watch it last year. And I've also seen him pitch and be an absolute potato out there. And you're like, who's this potato? Why is he even in the majors? So, does the truth lie somewhere in between? Does he figure it out? We're going to see, but I don't think anyone should be just making overwhelming proclamations about what he is, because he does have a track record of a lot of success when you're talking about the college level, when you're talking about the minor league level and that sort of thing. But let's talk about Travis d'Arnaud, because 5 home runs and 8 at-bats. He doesn't play on Sunday. Trump plays. So 5 home runs in his last 8 at-bats. And it's just, it's the latest example of these supplementary pieces just going out there and carrying the team. I mean, that offense was dormant. Weathers pitched a great game. The Miami bullpen didn't come in there and give up 5 runs like they like to do every given night. And Travis d'Arnaud hits really the one big hit of the entire game. It was enough to win. He did it against Texas, basically carried the entire offense for 2 games right there and won you those games. So it's just, or is it Arcia today? Is it Marcell Ozuna today? Is it Travis d'Arnaud today? Oh no, maybe it's Ronald Acuna, the guy that won the MVP, or Matt Olson, the guy who can't get a hit anymore. Don't get me started on Freddie. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not going to go. But seriously, it's crazy because Michael Harris is slumping. Austin Riley had a good little stretch, kind of slumping. Acuna's getting hits, no home runs. Olson's really slumping. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. And I had a funny tweet about it that, like, I think, other fans are like, the Braves just have everything. Like, some girls, the quote, some girls just have it all. And the Braves have it all. And it is the complementary pieces around this Atlanta Braves lineup. Well, it's not even just the lineup. It's the rotation. It's the bullpen. When in doubt, you can't count on your high leverage relievers, your aces, your MVP. The other guys are there to pick up the slack. And that goes for other facets. The lineup picks up the bullpen, vice versa. And it just goes to show, Travis d'Arnaud even noted, that it was, I don't know how true this is. I don't know why he would say it if it wasn't true. Credits Marcell Ozuna, during that Astros series, Travis d'Arnaud thrust into a everyday role as much as a catcher could be in an everyday role. And he struggled. I think he was hitting below 250. And then Marcell Ozuna said something to him, because Marcell Ozuna is the hottest man on the planet other than Travis d'Arnaud. And Travis d'Arnaud just goes out and becomes prime Barry Bonds. So it's just the latest example of one, obviously what you said, that the Braves have so many integral pieces to this team, but it also, Ozuna is so invaluable. Obviously, we know what he is on the field right now. If you ended it, he would be a top 5 finisher in the MVP and probably have a good argument to be the MVP. You date back to last year, Mike Harris comes off the injuries. He's struggling. Ozuna says, hey, you are that mofo. You are that guy. Act like it. He is, I don't even want to go this far. I said it last year, and I don't know if you remember this. I said last year that Ozuna may be irreplaceable in terms of a leader and locker room guy. And I think over the course of last season and this season, it's become apparent that he is maybe the most important guy in that locker room.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to argue with everything that we've heard from Travis Darno, Ronald Acuna, and stuff like that. And clearly, that's the only reason that they kept him around. 47 homers doesn't hurt either over the last calendar year. He gets 3 more before the start of May. We're going to see him at 50 homers. So, yeah, I've never seen a 180 like Marcell Ozuna. It's one of the more impressive things on and off the field, in the clubhouse, whatever you want to say it. I know a lot of people, and I say it all the time, are never going to forgive him. And I don't blame you. I really, if that's how you feel, that's how you feel, and it's never going to change. But I can tell you that those guys in the clubhouse clearly love him, clearly have respect for him, clearly appreciate the way that he comes into work and doesn't let the outside noise affect him, whether he's hitting well, whether he's hitting great. Whatever he's doing, he seems to just have the same attitude when he comes to work, and that has a positive effect, and it moves down all the way through the lineup. It is a next man up mentality. These guys play loose. They play like they're immune to pressure because the next guy behind them can pick them up, and it's something that has become so clear over 162 games every time the Braves play, and we talk about it ad nauseum, but it's something that needs to be mentioned because it is the talent, it is the depth, but it's more than that. There is something about this team and the reason that guys come here and play their best, and it's about what they have going on in the clubhouse, and that's something that you cannot replace.
Yeah, absolutely.